Welcome to episode 2, Reimagining Food in Healthcare. We have Mr. Aaron Mayer here, who heads up business development for Plated Foodservice.
There's just this compounding stress that's put on everyone's shoulders. What we really want to see is we want people to be doing people things. When we can put forth a solution that can automate some of the back end of the processes and how we can build food and design choices for people, then you can kind of take that burden off the people's shoulders.
Now, you know something I found interesting, Mr. Aaron. When I was talking with Miss Carolyn earlier in a previous episode, she had told me that OHI had found their biggest pain point, the thing that they'd eliminate if they could, food service. That was number one. It's not just about bad food. It's about a broken system.
Yeah, it's funny. It surprised you, but it doesn't surprise me because my history and my experience in food service and specifically healthcare, it's a really messy industry and a lot can go wrong. There's just so many moving parts and they all rely on people. And no matter how you cut it or how you look at it, people are unpredictable and there's just a lot of human error that could occur. So for a lot of these communities or institutional dining facilities, the food service aspect, it could just be a really hard thing to grapple with day to day.
You mentioned this word unpredictable. So let me start with the first question here. What is the most unpredictable or craziest thing that you've seen in the healthcare kitchen that people in the outside world, myself included, would never really guess?
Oh, man. I've seen some things. When we're looking at institutional dining, we spoke about it in previous episodes here, and the margins are razor thin. The budgets are tight, and people are really like walking on a tightrope. And when that happens, there's so much stress in the environment. And you mentioned that you worked in kitchens, and I think we all know that kitchens are high pressure environments. When the stresses are that high, you have people going to different lengths to handle things. I've seen, in healthcare, a lot of people don't eat normal solid food. They have specific swallowing difficulty and they have pureed food or ground up food. I've seen food that was cooked on Monday, pureed on a Thursday for a meal that's served at dinner. And these are real people. These are our loved ones that are eating these foods, and they should have dignity when they're dining as well. I've seen poor hygiene. The stories we could tell in kitchens, they go deep, but especially institutional and healthcare dining, it's not the cleanest environment.
You mentioned that people are actually leaving these jobs to work elsewhere for less money. Why would that be the case? That seems counterintuitive, no?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot that's kind of unfolded over the past few years, especially since the pandemic. People are going towards and moving towards, more freestyle, autonomous jobs. No one's feet are being held to the fire when it comes to working in these high stress, high labor intensive environments. And people can work remote. They could work totally without seeing people or dealing with people. They don't have to get their hands dirty, and they could work when they want and where they want. Food service and healthcare specifically, unlike restaurants, it's very tight, and you're on a really strict schedule. So you can't skip things. You can't close the business down. Snowstorms, hurricanes, natural disasters. You're open every single day, 7 days a week, and you need to feed the population that is there. So there's a high demand, and all of this contributes to this ballooning stress in that workplace. So when people are actually, feeling that, they are asking themselves the question, do I want to continue doing this? I think we're seeing in the labor, in specifically like the institutional healthcare services, we're seeing like lack of passion with food. And it's not like restaurants and more commercial dining where you have people that like really enjoy what they're doing every day. We're running low on the pool of talent that's out there, and people have more options than ever to do whatever they want and to make money in any way they want. and I think we're starting to really feel the pain.
Interesting. Now, I did work in some stressful kitchens. No clean forks, get your own honey mustard, we out of fruit punch, that type of thing. But anyway, you said there is something about the healthcare food service that is a different level of stress. What makes it so uniquely challenging? Can you tell me?
Yeah, and that kind of ties back into the passion that I was talking about before. In when you compare it to like other types of food service, catering, restaurants, you have like staff that are enjoying what they're doing. They have a different population that's coming in every day, and there's more of a challenge. I'm afraid that in the healthcare systems, you kind of just have people that are a lot of times you still have people that are in there because they care about other people, but again, resources are running thin, and they're a dime a dozen now. You're not finding people that are in there for the real reasons, and that's just the truth. People are not coming back to work as they were, and after the pandemic, we thought that we weren't sure what the landscape would be in healthcare food service specifically. So now we have people in all shapes and sizes coming back, and some of them don't always have the best intentions, and we turn over. It's quite frankly a revolving door in healthcare. Anyone who's listening or tuning into this that might have experience with it or have seen the turnover that occurs in these kitchens and these dining rooms, it's a huge problem. And this all again contributes to the stress. And what happens is when one person leaves, then everyone else has to bear that weight. And this is a chain reaction in these environments, and it really affects the culture of the kitchen, which ultimately affects the customer that you're serving.
Okay, there's a really interesting shift that you had pointed out to me, right? That labor now costs more than the actual food. I never really would have guessed that. Labor outweighing the food? That seems weird. That almost seems like a game changer in this market. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, the margins, like I said before, the margins in these institutional dining atmospheres are so tight that they're not allocating a lot of money for this type of work. We're looking at barely above minimum wage for these kitchens, for the cooks, the servers, the dishwashers. Not to mention the staffing patterns that these food service establishments need to hold are so robust. You have prep cooks, you have regular cooks that you need, again, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So you need to fill these gaps. Then you have to have the food served by people. You have to have dishwashers that collect and wash the dishes. That's just the labor piece. What a lot of people don't think about is the turnover costs as well. People are not spending a lot of time in these jobs. They're hopping around. A lot of times, especially in some urban areas, you have really high turnover. I've seen turnover percentages anywhere from 150 to 200% in these kitchens. That means that if you hire a prep cook, you might have to rehire that prep cook 2 times in the whole year. And that's a good percentage for some areas. When you go into some areas that are really hard to find good talent, it just gets steeper and steeper. The other piece that goes with the turnover is the recruiting cost, the training cost, and the onboarding cost, which it's not like a restaurant where you and I have worked in and, you could find Joe's friend who, wants to be a server, and you bring him on and you either pay him under the books or you onboard him and he starts that Friday. In healthcare, it's a really daunting process. You have all these screens, you have background checks, you have fingerprinting, you have healthcare vaccinations that you have to go through. So sometimes onboarding that new prep cook could take you 2 weeks to a month just to get them in. And the problem that's also compounding is these guys are trying to get in to get their, that prep cook that they just hired on January 1st doesn't start till February 1st. What do you think they're doing in those 3 weeks that they're waiting for the company to say, let's go? They're probably looking for something that they can get paid quicker. So not to mention at the operation, you have someone who's picking up the slack for that empty position. Again, this is where restaurants are messy and just hard to constantly keep up with.
Now, my grandparents' generation might have been okay with cafeteria-style meals. You know what I'm talking about? Gray food, you just eat whatever. I'm getting a little too old or too young to be eating any of that. It's ridiculous. But what are today's seniors really expecting when it comes to food, according to you?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I'm glad you asked it. We have a crazy population of people that are entering these facilities and communities, and we're noticing that the expectation is just growing and growing. You have people that are from all different age groups, well traveled, well eaten. They know what a good restaurant is. They know what a good plate is. They're looking at plates for color and contrast. They're also looking at choices and flexibility and a little bit of autonomy around their dining experience. Right now, the system that's broken is so regimented. It's, a meal at this time, every single day at the same time, and you don't have a lot of options within that. And that's something that we noticed that really we have a lot of flexibility on. Once we launch a solution, then we can really provide a really good variety of products at any time of day. I always think about back when I was in in the food service space, that we cut off breakfast at a certain time, or we cut off lunch, and the kitchen's closed. That kind of attitude. But when you have something that's flexible and that's ready at your fingertips, something that we've kind of created, you can really dine at any time, and that's what people are looking for. They're looking for a hot meal any time of the day. They're looking for breakfast at off hours. They want to be able to do what they want when they want it.
Can I check into one of these facilities? Now, can you put yourself in someone else's shoes, just for a second? Working in one of these high turnover kitchens, put yourself there, all right? Can you visualize? What's your typical day like? And how does that impact the residents you're serving?
Yeah, it's a lot of times it's chaos, unfortunately. For a lot of these folks out there, they're walking in and the first thing they're hearing is who called out today, who's not here, whose shift am I covering, whose slack am I picking up? And it's a terrible way to start your day. When I was in operations, often I would just wish for a break. You want a normal day that you can predict what's coming in and predict what's going to happen, but it's not human for us to work in unpredictable environments. So really the big issue here is there's just this compounding stress that's put on everyone's shoulders, and there's no need for that. What we really want to see is we want people to be doing people things. And I think when we can put forth a solution that can automate some of the back end of the processes and how we can build food and design choices for people, then you can kind of take that burden off the people's shoulders. We want to put people back to do people things. We want to reallocate these people who care about being in a work environment to socialize and engage with residents, patients, clients, because that's where they could be more valuable.
Well, Aaron, come on now. I'm hearing a lot of problems. What are these solutions? Can you provide me with anything? What should the outlook be?
Sorry about that. I think it's, there's definitely, we gotta be realistic and we gotta look at where we're at. We spoke about expectations and how there's this huge gap there. You have increasing expectations and you have people who can't deliver on them. So that's just a miss. At the same time, you have an aging population that's growing, like your grandmother, 93 years old, God bless. And then you have less available workers. And it's not that they don't want to work or they're just, they're being lazy. It's the fact that they just don't exist. And it's getting smaller and smaller because one is outpacing the others. So, that's the last negative piece. I feel that we have formulated and created a solution that we've built that will mitigate this risk of the labor crisis. And we'll be able to address these kind of operations without having to rely on so many people to make them run every single day.
So it sounds like this is more or less a numbers issue that you can kind of eradicate, correct?
Yeah, what we've built is basically a multi-tool that you can continue to provide services, good food to seniors, good food to aging population, while leveraging hardware, software that will allow you to do this with fewer people. So you could do more with less, and you can use these people that are so rare to find, and you could use them for more people things.
More people things. Doing more with less. That's how
More
I
or
got
less.
here.
Sounds a little corny, but yeah, you know what I mean.
I understand. Now we're a little more positive. Okay. I got more information to tell my 93-year-old grandmother. She got a couple more days left, right? So it sounds like this has been an issue that we've all in this world have been able to tackle before. And with your help, we'll do it again. Is that correct?
Yeah, man. Labor is always labor. I think it's been a problem in the past. It'll be a problem in the future. The good thing is, there's always something or someone. There's always a who that solves for it and makes things a little less abrasive as we go through. And I feel that our solution will really safeguard this realm of hospitality and healthcare food service, and make sure we don't drop the ball and people still get fed.
All right. You'll be back with us, correct?
I will be.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Aaron. This has been great. But we have a lot more topics to get into. So, thank you for watching Reimagining Food in Healthcare. We have so many more topics to get into. We're talking about food next, so tune in.